Greetings and salutations everyone, I'm Ekamac. This is slightly embarrassing. I actually recorded a lot of this. I recorded a lot of Frogger 2 bonus episode without narration, and I don't really feel like going through it all again, especially since there's no way to easily retry to show getting these coin rewards. So, I'm going to be showing off all the new characters I unlocked here. First of all, we have Treeby in the Lava Palaver level because that was where I missed some of the things. Treeby is the fourth of the initial characters you can play as, so that you have 4 players in the the multiplayer minigames. And I do that. This is still a really hard level. Probably why they give you a whole bunch of extra lives. What else was I talking about? I kind of don't remember, but maybe that's just because I never remember what to talk about. But yeah, this is one of the 2 levels that I'm missing in terms of extras. And I do need to warn you, I will get stuck on this part yet again, because actually these rocks have a slightly bigger hitbox than I expect them to, but I also do that. I don't know, maybe you could super jump them, but I don't feel like you really could. Yeah, there's the hitbox problem. Anyway, arcade mode only gives you 5 lives. So it is actually a rather tense situation. Story mode lives stock up over time, so you're not so badly off there. Also, the clock in the bottom right corner, I didn't mention that, that's the gold record. If you can't beat that, then it's not game over, but you aren't getting the record. You aren't going to get to put your initials in the title screen. I don't remember which coins it was that I actually missed in the main LP, so maybe that's something for me to look up and add as a little caption here. And here, rather just to hop across this straight and narrow. And then I accidentally slurp up quick hop, but that actually ends up working in my favor because I can get past all this pretty quickly. And then there's this tower here. I actually tried to get up from here, and for some reason I don't fall in the lava. The game is being generous today. These I can hop up just fine. He has rather a unique cackle. Or I guess croak because it's the super croak. And then garden is the other one that I didn't get. And there's a reason for that, which I figure out only after I've done a whole bunch of hopping. So when I get that top left coin, look up. Yeah, I forgot about that coin, so I have to backtrack the entire level. Or I guess I did. It's not so much I forgot as I didn't notice it. And then I got a bit twitchy fingered there, so I fell in the water. And this time it is actually very short. It actually made me think, maybe the hard mode requires you to beat the initial records? Not entirely sure. But you definitely don't want to be collecting coins when you're doing the hard mode runs. What is the first bonus character that we unlock? Not really a frog, more a toad. much deeper through the croak. But these different characters are all pure aesthetics. You don't get any advantage or disadvantage from playing them. So just pick the one you like best. I think as a kid my favorite one is actually the next frog, Tank. And yeah, this is the point where I realized, wait, I don't have enough coins, I've got to backtrack the entire level. And I do indeed backtrack practically the entire level. Somehow managed to make that blind super jump to avoid that mower. Nope, not in here. No secret rooms over here still. And then I jump over to this bridge. And then I spot the coin. Somehow managed to get that coin there. It was a very generous game. I probably could have jumped over those lawn rollers, but eh. Definitely not getting the record there, but I jumped over to here to start having a look at the extras part. Because view artwork. But then I remembered, oh yeah, we're having a bit of a visual glitch at the moment because I had to minimize the game briefly. So no. And Feeding Frenzy, which we just unlocked, that's basically an easy mode. It gives your tongue the ability to slurp up most enemies and obstacles. Most, not all. So you can use that for a better chance at doing things, but then we also have all these retro levels, and I don't think Super Tongue works in them. And we play as Tank. Now the important rule about doing these ones, grab the most difficult frog first. So on this level it's the green frog. Because as you pick up frogs, retro levels will get increasingly more difficult. More dangerous obstacles, faster obstacles, and a dog for some reason. It's weird because in the original Frogger PS1 game, I thought that was a beaver, but no, it's a dog. And it will hurt you if you're at the very end of the log when the dog goes into it, but for some reason that timing just doesn't seem to want to line up here. And I got the record. I will be getting all the records in these levels, rest assured. I should also point out, Super Jump is disabled. We cannot use Super Jump to get over these 2D obstacles. It's retro, you know? And the most difficult is the green frog. I didn't like it screwing up a bit at the start there, so I decided to reset immediately. But green frog is going to be the most difficult. I don't know why I did that. These retro stages, like everything else in the arcade, you get 5 lives and that's it. So if you're too hasty, then you can actually get a game over pretty easily here. I did get all of them, but can I really be satisfied with just silver place when I was that close to winning?
Yeah. Yeah. Hey. Yeah.
Of course not. We're going back in. Now that we know more about what we're doing here, let's make the exact same mistake twice in a row. Yeah, the lily pads will vanish, so it is best to grab those leftmost ones first. Otherwise you have to fight against traffic and that's just not worth it.
Yeah.
One way. I remember 40 seconds, so you can tell from the current set record that which ones are going to be a bit of a headache and time investment. Oh yeah, I played as Swampy for this level, I forgot. And then I grabbed the purple frog despite that being a really easy frog to get. I should have gone for green first, because now it's added snakes to those purple lanes, so now it's no longer safe. But that said, it wasn't so bad, but this definitely reminds me of one of the multiplayer maps in the first-ish game. Only a lot smaller. Rescue 5 baby frogs to complete the level. Because there's no super jump, I wanted to show off Swampy's super jump in this level. And there was also a different thing that I wanted to show. He also has a very interesting super croak, as you can see. But mainly I wanted to show that yes, these are all aesthetic, so Swampy can be killed by his own cutout. I don't know, I thought that was funny. And now around the bend, since we've done Swampy, we just loop around and go back to playing as Frogger. I didn't actually show Ruby's super job in the hump the glide though. You see it for a very split second. He uses his ears as a helicopter, but I feel like maybe in my next bonus episode I should show that. And then I got hit by a bulldozer. Frogger 1 did have 3D graphics versions for all these cars for the retro stages. Kinda missed that, but because they had a bunch of retro stages which were just the first level, but scaling in difficulty each time. But then they also had the lily pad aisles, which used the same tile set. Everything was almost identical, but they were actually creative, explorable levels. If that makes sense. Same tile set, but now much more customized. Now, this is the one level where it really shouldn't worry you what order you get the frogs in, because you just need to get to that end part and then you start hopping forward. I think some of the retro levels are able to be done in multiplayer as well, but keep in mind it's competitive multiplayer, not cooperative. Round the bend. Like Crockwork. I should have done this one as Swampy, I really should have. And this is one where the order you pick up the frogs in is very important, because you don't want to leave the green frog for last. After that, I guess it's more a case of just figure out which ones look like they'll be the most headache. Because they do pick up speed. They do pick up speed. Purple because you want red to be last, because then they increase the number of cars you have to deal with. But we got the record again. Good job, Lily. 10 seconds better than Jim. Take that, Jim. Well, I guess 9 seconds, because you have to round. I think this one's called Frog Jam. Funnily enough, despite all the logs and turtles, the obstacles aren't... The new obstacles aren't that the turtles go down, or we suddenly dealing with the alligators or the beaver dogs. No, the difficulty is that they start adding walls. And the thing is, the wall won't kill you, but it will bump you back, and as I find out later in this level, if you're moving fast enough, you won't have time to get off. It'll keep pushing you into it until there's nothing left. I somehow managed to make that landing. It strikes me that it's kind of funny, but Tad really is just one of the blue baby frog models that turned into a playable character, so they are saving on dev time. But that said, it's an old game, they had to cut corners where they could. Huh. Yeah, since it's not in the moment, I don't know exactly which one it is, but if you get bumped back by a fast-moving turtle/log, I know that that did happen to me at some point in these retro levels. I didn't look at the name of this level. Whoops. Oh well, it'll be at the end, but... Now there's a very unfortunate thing about this level once you take too many frogs. You see how there's that safe lane in the middle? It won't stay a safe lane. Eventually cars will start driving on that as well. Yep. It's rather rude. Driven back. Oh yeah, this one I actually had to redo because this one forces you into, yeah, because they do all line up in a giant row at certain points, it can stall you out, and because some of those tiles are going to sink, it's gonna be trouble. Yeah, see? Already we've lost a couple of lily pads. I actually would be interested to see what this would have been like in the original 3D graphics. But maybe that's unfair because they can get away with having cars drive over the water because 2D simplistic graphics. And because I kept getting caught on the wrong wave, I ended up timing out here. Didn't lose a life though, it was just too cautious. And yes, I did feel like I could do better, so I did it again. Blue, red, green were the first ones I grabbed because they looked the trickiest to get behind once lily pads start sinking. And that just leaves the yellow and purple to get, which are much less of a headache. I don't actually know where the hurt box on those bulldozers are, but apparently it is that generous. Anyway, there's a lot of alligators slash crocodiles in this one. And as you'd expect, they keep their mouth shut up. Presumably it's for maintaining difficulty purposes, but the crocodiles will keep their mouths shut until you grab some of the frogs. After that, they'll start opening and closing their mouth, and it will hurt you if it's open. That one definitely cost me a few times in this run. I think the reason that they have them spawning at the start is because if not, then you could, in theory, loop around. You'd still have a whole bunch of logs around, and they wouldn't be crocodiles, so it would be easier. By having them spawn at the start, then they can just say, right, we've gotten to 3 frogs, now start opening the turn on the danger part of the crocodiles. Unfortunately, we keep snapping to the open mouth for some reason. Those rings, I haven't mentioned it before, But those rings that you have around the character after you die, those are actually invincibility frames, but they last for so short a time, they're not going to be that useful for you. Also probably worth noting, 0 doesn't count as a life. If you hit 0 lives, then game over. I know this because I game overed here. Sorry if I'm kind of ruining the experience by post-commentating, but I really don't think I should be recording over me setting all these records. Or recording after I've already set all the records, because I won't be able to beat them. Some of these are very well set records. And yeah, retro is tough. Super retro is very tough. Source of the only game over I had here. There's a reason why I didn't really like them as a kid. Now the alligators are active. I can't decide whether they're alligators or crocodiles. I really don't know the difference. It does feel kind of bad to be moving past the easily gotten frogs and making them upset because you keep moving back without them, but you have to be efficient if you want to beat these. And I don't like the sound of trying to get past heavy obstacles to get to that green frog in the middle. Did I talk about the secret cheat codes? I might not have. So there are cheat codes. I believe there's one to give you those invincibility frames, but for a much longer time. There's an infinite lives cheat, although that won't help with the what's it. And there's one that turns all of the coins into little cartoon characters, and unfortunately there just wasn't enough space on that one. So we snapped them out and died. And Tulog was moving too fast for the new tiles to hop onto. How unfortunate. I actually tried to make this game in Game Maker once. I don't know how I landed on that. Unfortunately, I just cannot figure out how to make working river tiles. And now we're losing all our lives on this final frog. Yeah, I just don't see being able to get to the green frog in all this. Twister. It is a rough one.
Yeah.
We only managed to make it 6 minutes out of the time limit, and it's a 3-minute it's almost 4 minutes long. Whereas Blockade, that one is 4 minutes long. We're gonna tackle it with Swampy, because one final boss deserves another. And this time the order is actually reversed. And then I accidentally picked up the yellow one, whoops. And I think I was waiting for a good time here because those turtles aren't exactly hanging around long. Maybe this is when I found out that too fast a turtle slash log can stun lock you with the walls. Maybe. That one purple car slowed me down a touch. Oh yeah, last life. I think this one might also be a game over. I say I think as if I didn't play this just a little bit ago. But the reason I knew that is because I did remember getting that yellow frog going, oh wait, I didn't want that. And then having to get it as the third frog again, which did mean that no, we're going down. Funnily enough, I feel like, despite being the final retro stage, this one might have the least changes. For difficulty, because I look at this now and I think it doesn't really get too much worse. Like, there's an extra bulldozer there now, but we were already seeing a couple of double cars in that specific lane. The dogs really only showed up once. That corner always gets me. And then, yeah, there are times where I think, wait, do I have all these frogs or not? And I get front-ended by a car, because of course I do. I don't think that this is a very heavily story-driven episode, but I don't know how that happened at all, sorry. This isn't exactly story-driven, but these are pretty interesting bonus levels for wetting your teeth wet, or stretching your legs, or flexing your muscles, whatever you prefer. Show how far you've come through the game. Although I guess you wouldn't have to have beaten the game to unlock them, or let me count it out in my head. There were about 10 levels, I think. So that means you'd be somewhere through space when you start getting... If you get all the coins immediately, you'd be somewhere through space by the time you unlock them all, so maybe not. But anyway, I need to wrap up the episode because I'm just about run out of time. So until next time guys, take care, I'll see you all around.